For our second topic of the this segment, let's move forward for the second half of the season. What is your expectations, or what do you are expecting, or what do you want to see for the second half of the season?
Dodgers not winning. No, kidding aside, the
Yeah,
only team, the only
enough
team.
with the jokes, Omar.
Oh, breaking news.
What
We have
happened?
breaking news.
Here we go again with the plus minuses.
When you beat me to it, I was like, oh shoot, we're totally
You
gonna.
have to be quick. You have to be quick. In game, real time, it's hard to like make that same thing called 100%. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Saturday Sliders. Today is Sunday, July 28th. I'm Almar and I have Armando next to me, and let's talk baseball.
Let's go around the bases for this week's news. I like it's been a very busy week. There's a lot of moving parts, and with a lot of impressive games. Actually, a lot of highlights. So it's kind of hard to narrow it down, like what to talk to, right? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with who had the most impressive game out of this week. Dylan Cease throwing a no-no, second time in Padres history. Ella de la Cruz stealing four bases in one game. And it's Xavier Edwards, rookie of the Florida Marlins, hitting for the cycle. Omar, what say you?
First and foremost, congratulations to Dylan Cease for his no hitter. I think Dylan is quite happy he was able to escape the south side of Chicago, right?
Yeah, he would
Well,
have been traded by now.
fun fact: the last time Dylan Cease was spitting a no-hit gem, the player who broke the no-no was Luis Arias,
That's right.
and now Arias was able to witness Cease complete the mastery as his teammate with the Padres, just dominating stuff from Dylan Cease.
That is correct. I think if I'm like choosing, like obviously they're all impressive. No doubter. Dylan sees he's no, it's the most impressive one. But it's kind of like I think with Elo de la Cruz, it's like that's just becoming normal for him, right? It's kind of like, oh, that's his second time this season that he has stole stolen bases in one game, right? So it's
Yeah.
impressive. I think with Elo de la Cruz is how many stolen bases will he get to the end of the season, right? So I think like we just expect that out of him now.
Yeah,
It's Xavier.
what was our over under again for that stolen base? I think over 100 or under
Yeah,
90.
I think he's not getting close over 100. I think I think I did 80 plus 80. And so he's
Yeah, but
actually
like
slowed down on the stolen bases. You know, he can't keep up throughout the whole season, right? But it's still impressive. It's Xavier. It's impressive. Let me just make the argument for it's Xavier for the cycle. It's not very common no more to hit for the cycle no more with launch angles. Players always hitting for the fences. You know, anything can happen when you put enough spin to it and the ball, and it just travels right. So I think it's becoming more harder to hit a cycle for the cycle. Um, I think Bobby Witt Jr. He came close. He needed a single this week, and he got hit by a pitch, and he was awarded the first base. So he was actually kind of like, whoa, man, he was just a single away from the cycle, right? So I think it is harder to hit. I think it's becoming more rare. So, but it obviously it's more impressive than no hitter. But I think in the bigger picture, because the Padres, the way they are playing right now, arguably the hottest team in baseball right now, top 10 in every offensive category. I think a bigger picture, I think Dylan Cease and the Padres, that's the biggest storyline. That is more
Yeah,
impressive.
it's nothing to say against the hit for the cycle. Hit for the cycle, like you said, is really rare now. Like the Bobby Witt Jr., he did a single hit by pitch. They were so mad. The Royals were so mad.
I was mad. I was like, what?
So yeah, like I said, it's kind of a thing like no hitters, complete games, um, perfect games, and hit for the cycle. Sometimes you gotta need a lot of luck to do it, but like
Yes,
it's yeah. So hit by the cycle is really hard now.
perfect. And for our second topic of the around the bases, the Mets swept the Yankees in the New York series. This is the first time in I think in 15 years, the Mets was able to beat the Yankees in the series. They've just been the Yankees have been dominating New York. Um, what is what does this mean, Omar? And where does each team go from here?
Um, Mets sweeping the four-game Subway Series against the mighty Yanks. From here on out, every win, every series win is huge for all the teams trying to reach the postseason, right? And at that point, when the Mets swept the Yankees, the Mets actually overtook the Braves for second spot in the NL East. So Mets currently hold the last wild card spot in the National League by half a game, actually just half a game. So most of the time, we laugh at the Mets' blunder of signings
Right.
and trades
Yes.
and their delusion of winning the World Series. But I'm glad to see them compete for a playoff spot. It makes for a great entertainment talking about them, right, Armando?
I think to me, like I think the storyline of this is the New York Mets, right? They
Yeah.
beating your rival in the city, right? Like you always are second best baseball team, like in New York. Obviously, the New York series doesn't get enough national attention, but it's still important. Baseball is better when the Yanks and are better, and honestly, one of those the Mets are one of those franchises like baseball is just better with the Mets are good, right? So I think what this means is that the Mets are for real. They're a contender.
Yep.
I'm not saying they're like the World Series favorites or the National League favorites, but I think this is actually a right foot going forward for the Mets that they can compete against any team. So this is kudos for the Mets. They're for real. And in other news, Alex Cora has agreed to an extension with being the manager for the Boston Red Sox. What's your opinion since this is your division?
This is a massive 3-year deal for Alex Cora to remain as the manager for the Red Sox. Even behind the sign stealing controversy when he was a bench coach with the Astros, Cora is still beloved amongst his peers and in the Red Sox dugout. Having stability on the bench is great for a team moving forward. So Cora is still responsible for the 2018 World Series with the Red Sox. So his resume speaks for itself. Congrats to Alex Cora. Even as a rival, this is a great signing for Red Sox.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. I think this is the fact that they didn't wait for the end of the season. This team, the Sox, has a lot of team. They just came out of nowhere, right? They kind of fell out of the map. They traded all their stars after they won the World Series. Their last World Series, they kind of traded everybody. They were dumping salaries, and the fact is that they were not expecting to compete this way. The fact that the way they have their young talent has stepped up this season. I like the move. They didn't wait till the end of the season. They signed their manager for extra 3 years. So kudos to them.
Yes, because I was reading about it with this signing because I think the expectation from everyone was Cora's gonna be a free agent in the off season,
Right.
and good on the Red Sox that not allowing Cora to hit the free agency because he'll be sought after.
Correct. So that's really good. So and also we in this week we had some pitch interviews. Long waiting. Uh, Ray Kershaw and Kadai Senga for from the Mets. They all made their season debuts this week. Who had the most impressive outing?
Well, we're not gonna talk about Senga because what you call this
That
from
is
Great
correct.
Sea. Yeah,
He got
yeah,
pulled after the fifth inning, so it's still impressive. His five innings, right? So, and it is sad to see that, but it was the Mets are they're contenders. They need their starting pitching, and this is a setback. But it was still good to see. But it came very short because now he's actually having season ending surgery.
yeah, because it wasn't a great news for the Mets. So Senga
Yeah.
missed the entire first half of the season due to the shoulder and triceps injury, and now he goes to the 60-day IL with a calf injury. So that's bad news for the Mets. For Robbie Ray, Mister Tight Pants. You're happy
Yeah.
you're happy that
I
he's
think
here.
they can be a little bit tighter. I think.
So happy to see Robbie Ray out there on the mound. He was masterful out there after an eventful first inning. So this is the type of pitcher the Giants wish they were getting when they got Ray, right? So hopefully he can be the Cy Young pitcher. He was for the Giants when he won with the award when he was with the Jays, right? So but yeah, what can you say about Robbie Ray's debut?
I think it's Kershaw was masterful as well, right? Kershaw was masterful. I saw that game. He had the curveball going. He had the Giants pitchers batters just guessing. So for his first Saturday, it was typical Kershaw. But I think what's more impressive was Ray for the reason that it's been 18 months, right? So 18 months coming from a Tommy John, not knowing what to expect, not knowing how he's going to react, but the fact that he had a 5 innings of of no hit, right?
Yeah,
He walked a couple pitchers in the first inning. He hit a batter, I believe, so he had the bases loaded with one out, and it looked very scary. But then he settled down the second, and he had 5 innings of no hit. So I think that it was more impressive.
yeah. Because I'm not, I'm really sure you weren't thrilled to see Kershaw back against your Giants, right? So,
It was
rivalry
typical. It
aside,
was frustrating. They did get to him, right? So they did, but I think the pitching. I think that's the thing is like a lot of baseball wants these pitchers to go out, right? Like it's like what's this 5 innings, 6 inning, stretch them out. But this is why you have injuries, right? Especially after Tommy John, you don't know how in a pitching simulation or pitching against like double A, single A. Some I think Ruby Gay, he was not even a triple A. He was just pitching like with a single A and double A. So sometimes you don't know how live pitching will do to an arm, right? So
yeah. Because rivalry aside, we always want to see the best pitchers out there
right.
against your own team, right? So that's how you measure where your team lines up against the perennial playoff teams,
Yeah,
right, Armando?
correct. And I'm not just being biased. I'll talk more about Ray in the Giants segment, but I think out of those three pitching debuts, and I think Ray was the most impressive. So,
Yeah.
and we'll end this. I will end this segment with congratulating Goldsmith for hitting his 200 hit. Oh,
Oh,
2000 hit uh, yesterday. So it was a home run, but he's had a long career with Arizona and the Cardinals. So down year for him, but he reached the milestone with 2000 hits.
yeah. I was like 200 hits.
200 hits.
that's
No, 2000.
that, that's a milestone in a season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, 2000 hits is no slouch, right? So congratulations to Goldsmith.
Correct. That's it for Around the Bases. If you like this content, please like, follow, and subscribe. It will help our channel grow. All right, for our second segment, let's go with talk about trade. Uh, the trade deadline's approaching this Tuesday, but there's been a busy weekend with a lot of trades. Um, I'm just gonna do a quick recap. And we'll see what intrigues you the most, Omar. The Cubs acquiring third baseman Isaac Paredes from Tampa Bay for a couple prospects. The Padres make trade for Adam from the Rays as well. Padres are bolting up their bullpen. The Mets actually trade back for outfielder Jason Winker. He was with the Mets a couple of seasons ago. For prospects as well. The Phillies trade for closer Esteves for prospects, actually from the Phillies. So they got two top 10 prospects for Esteves, Carlos. And this week as well, New York Yankees make a trade for Jazz Chisholm Jr. from the Marlins. There's a couple of Jays trading away their reliever pitchers. And the Mariners add Arosarena from the Rays. What stands out to you the most out of this weekend's trades?
There's a lot of trades. Hey,
Yeah, there's a lot of trades.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming to the pipe tomorrow, Monday, tomorrow, and Tuesday. So I would like to focus with the Rays, who keeps stocking their cupboards with full with prospects. I don't know how this Rays do it every year. They sell their players when they are out of contention, and then the following year they are contending for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So so the Rays, like you said, just traded third baseman Isaac Paredes to the Cubs for third baseman Christopher Morel plus two prospects. And they also traded right-hander Jason Adam to the Padres for prospects
Yes, Jason.
Dylan Lesko, Homer Bush Jr., and JD Gonzalez. Then 2 days ago, like you said, the Rays also shipped outfielder Randy Arozarena to the Mariners for outfielder Aiden Smith, right-hander Brody Hopkins, and a player to be named later. Those are 9 players coming to the Rays organization, and I will not doubt one bit that some of
Wow,
them, if
nine
not,
prospects.
yeah, if not, most of them will have a major impact for the Rays, not only next season but for years to come.
I think out of this, I think the Rays stand out to me as well. It's a little shocking because they had some pretty good talent. They can still resign, but they're just starting a rebuild, right? So it's like I didn't pick him to like in the beginning of the season. I didn't pick him to make the players, but I did not expect them to be kind of like to be sellers.
Yeah,
But they do this. Like you're right, they do this. They retool quick, right? The Rays farm system is it's always at top of the league. They're known to just kind of trading players and having somebody in the pipeline ready to go. So, but yes, they trade. Obviously, the Mariners, you kind of, I mean, the Marlins, you kind of expected for them to be sellers, right? They're not going anywhere. Um, I so yeah, so I think in the Nationals, obviously, when we talked about the White Sox, they're just trading, but I think the Rays stands out to me the most, and I think the Mariner kudos for the Mariners. They're going for it. They're trading for pitching arms. They're trading for a star and Jorge, and he's electric. I think he's gonna love it. He's gonna love it. The fans in Seattle, they're gonna love him.
yeah. Mariners badly need a bat.
Yes,
They're like third. I believe third or second worst in OPS
second
in the
race. Yes,
majors in
yeah.
the majors. So
So they needed. They went for it, and they got an electric bat, and so he could be a game changer, especially in the playoffs. So good for the Mariners. I think. Uh, And I think I'm also surprised for the Cubs. They're they're only 5 games out of those third wild spots, but I think they realize there's too many teams to jump for them to be the winners of the third wild card spots. So they have decided early, we're not competing this year. We're trading, but we're also adding for the future. So it's not a, oh, we're just sellers. We're done. It's like no, they're grabbing players for next year. I kind of like the Cubs' perspectives. Like it's yeah. So that's why I kind of like it. So, but yeah. So I think the Phillies bulking up their bullpen is they're just strengthening out their depth.
Yeah, I like this move as well with Josh Chisholm Jr. from the Marlins to the Yankees. Finally, just was moved. There was a ton of noise during the off season. It just didn't happen. We finally can stop talking about where the outfielder infielder will play,
Right.
right? So Yanks traded shortstop was that Jared Serna,
Yeah.
catcher Augustino Ramirez, and shortstop Abraham Ramirez to the Marlins to get Chris Home. So Jazz most likely will slide in the left field for the Yanks. Jazz
Yeah.
is actually under control until 2026, so he is not a rental. So great move on the Yanks as they
Where do
try to
you
stay within shouting distance of the Orioles for the AL East
yeah
crown.
where do you put this? Where do you rank this outfield now? The New York Yankees outfield now. Do you put them at best in the league as a trio, or top 10, or top 15? Where do you
Well,
put
you
them
put
now?
it when you have Judge and Soto, you gotta put them up at the top of the league, right? You can't
Right.
like there's no doubt about it. And then adding Jazz to the outfield, it's like that's a nightmare in the
That's a good
facing
lineup.
them.
That's a
Yeah.
good outfield. I think the
Mhm.
Padres probably. I think of the Padres will probably be a little bit better, but yeah, they strengthen their outfield very good. So good for them. So for sure. For our second topic of the this segment, let's move forward for the second half of the season. What is your expectations, or what do you are expecting, or what do you want to see for the second half of the season?
Dodgers not winning. No, kidding aside, the
Yeah,
only team, the only
enough
team
with the jokes, Omar.
the only team currently running away with their division is the Phillies, who is 8.5 ahead of the Braves. But there is a ton of baseball to be played, and a lot can happen between now and September. So you can't get too comfy up there, right, Armando? And I
Right,
still
that is
expect
true.
I still expect the Phillies to take the NL East crown. The battles that I want to watch, we want to watch, are the Orioles and the Yankees for the AL East. Like I mentioned during our postseason picks recap, to be able to be successful in the postseason, the Yankees has to take the East and get that first round bye, right? So
Right.
also after being left for dead the entire first half, the Astros are tied for first place in the AL West.
Yes.
So with the Mariners, so this will be a bloodbath. Again, much like last year when the Astros, Rangers, and Mariners were battling to get that last two playoff spots in the American League. It'll be fun to watch this AL American League playoff race.
What I am expecting the second half, I want to see who separates from the wild card in the National League. We still have 6 teams in the running. There's a lot of teams, right? So I think I want to see who's gonna separate themselves, right? So the Cubs already said, like, 6 games back or 5 games away from the third wild card. What are the Giants are gonna do? The Padres, like they right? So like the Rex, the Reds. So there's will the Mets continue this run, right? So will they hold the second spot? Although 3 wildcard spots. So like so, in a sense, who's gonna take the last spot, right? So I want to see, I want to follow that storyline. in the second half. And I want to the other second thing that I'm watching in the second half is the MVPs awards in both leagues. Can anybody catch Shohei Ohtani? Like obviously right now, look, he's just playing unreal. Like he's from a different planet right now. So um, just because he's in the National League, obviously you follow the American League, so you watch them more. But now, like he's just like as a DH, like he's hitting some. He hit his seventh home run that went over 450 of the season. So like so will can Bryce Harper make it challenge him for the MVP? Or can anybody else? Are they lock in? I guess that's what I'm saying. Is that MVP awards? Are they lock in with Judge in the American League and Shohei in the American League? That's what I'm looking for. I think that out of the American League, I don't even know who can come close to Judge other tthan Soto. He's had a good run this since the All Star break. Soto has hit multiple home runs, so I think he's at 26 home runs of the season now. So he's getting close to the 30 home run mark. So that's just the two storylines that I am following in the second half of the season.
Yeah, Judge has like 37 home runs. The second, the nearest one is Anthony Santander with 29, and
Hmm.
Juan Soto has 27 home runs.
All
So
27. So
yeah, I think Judge and Shohei will be running away with this one unless someone really gets hot in the next 2 months, right?
yeah,
Like Vlad Guerrero is hitting bombs right now, so we'll see about that. Um, as a Jays fans, we love to see Vlad hits like that, right?
yeah,
But I think Judge is running away with American League MVP and Shohei as well with the NL. So I'm good with that picks right now, Armando.
yeah.
Don't push it. Don't push it.
Well, I just think like, it just seems like they were locked in for the MVP, right? So they've
Yep,
been the hottest. Let's not forget the Judge had a very cold month of in
true.
April, and then he came back and scorching hot in May. So I think for Vlad, I was like I do follow the Jays as well. So like, but I just think his 2 months of no show really has set him back, right? So
Yep. It hurts.
so
It hurts him. It hurts the Jays as well, right?
exactly it. So, anyways, that is it. Let's go to our Giants and Jays updates. Um, let's start with the good news, Omar, with the Giants. The good news
Woohoo!
is
Woohoo!
the
Yeah.
good news is football's just around the corner. I started following the Niners training camp. I'm starting to look at read some fantasy football. So we got some trade deadline. I mean, some fantasy draft dates now. So that's really good. That is the good news when following the Giants. Because the bad news is that this team are not a playoff team. So I think beginning of beginning of the month of last month, I asked like, I can't tell if this is a bad team or just because of the injuries, because of all the injuries that Giants have faced, is it's too much to overcome. And now the fact that this team is healthy, the pitching has, uh, we have now they have the pitching staff that they needed, and it shows that this team is they're not a good team. So this is a 500 because they go hot and cold. Um, they finished before the All Star. They went on a good run. Um, they show flashes. I was like, good, like this team is gonna put it together, and then they come back after the All Star and they just laid an egg. So I last week I said that this team cannot go anything less than 6-4 in this road trip to be contenders, and they went 6-5. They On the road trip against the Colorado and the Dodgers, they went 2 for 5 against them. 3 games in Colorado, they only scored 7 runs in Colorado, and Colorado Coors Fields is known of just kind of like offensive games, and they could not hit. They lost the series. They went 1 for 3, and then they made a lot of mistakes against the Dodgers, going 1 for 4, 1 for. They lost the series. Dodgers won 3 out of 4, and they lost a great pitching performance by Blake Snell's, and they they lost the lead. They made some crucial mistakes, and the Dodgers they just kind of sit back and say like, we're not gonna make mistakes. We're gonna make the other team make mistakes, and that's what happened. They let the Giants make the mistakes, and they beat themselves, and they just got beat up. A lot of crucial mistakes, and because we have a lot of young talent, and it showed because on that Monday night games against the Dodgers, bottom of the ninth, I mean bottom of the eighth, 2 outs, and there was just a little a single to center. In the beginning of the game, like players don't want to reach too high, so you might just drop let the ball drop and just pick it up and just throw it to second, right? So it's just a single, right? So there's plenty of time of the game, but at the bottom of the eighth, you do that. It's like, what are you doing? There's only 3 more outs, and you allow the ball to drop, like if it's the first inning, and they score the game-winning run, top of the ninth, 3 quick outs, and game's over. And it's like you cannot do that. You have to protect the. That was a tie game. You have to protect um, the tie game or even the lead. In those scenarios, and they just showed they're a young team, and they're just making crucial mistakes. So this is really bad. So, and it gets worse because now they've swept the Rockies this series. They had a 4 game series against the Rockies, so they swept them. But it's like games against the home and home series, and the Dodgers again with 4 game series. So it was just a really bad. Um, it's not the start that they wanted. And now the biggest question is what's going to happen now at the trade deadline. We have 2 days, and we'll see what happens because right now it's not looking good. Um, Blake Snells has 3 awesome starts coming back from his injury. He can opt out, uh, and he had a 15 strikeout game yesterday. Very impressive. 7 innings, 15 strikes. Impressive game. The Giants did not score a game. He had a no decision. Giants won the game, but still, like wow, like Giants, you have wasted 3 quality starts for Blake Snells. And the fact is, if he has this dominant season and second half, he can opt out, and Giants can lose them. So what do you do with that? So the Giants trade him, right? Who's gonna pick up his big contract? There's a lot of opting out. Like Chapman is playing great, but he can opt out. Ray, I just talked about Ray coming back, and if he has a great season, he has 1 year contract. He can opt out, so he can just be showcasing for his Nets team, right, for next season.
Correct.
So there is a lot of question marks right now, and it is very frustrating because this is not what the Giants do. This is what the Diamondbacks, the Mets, um, the Texans, Rangers of old, the Mariners or whatever, they just kind of sign this. They spend a lot of money, and then they trade off everything because what's the point? Because you have to unload all this big payroll, right? So this is not typical. So it's been a failure of a season. So but now what they obviously they know what to do, right? Obviously they're talking communication. We don't know yet, but it's kind of the question is what are they going to do? Do they trade maybe a package deal? Chapman and and Blake with Snells or Devon or closer with Blake Snells. Like kind of like because of his contract, maybe they can take that. Maybe put in something like a Duvall, kind of like, oh man, this is really good. But I think this is very inconsistent team, very mediocre team, and there's up and down. One week you're hot, the other week you're cold. So I think it's just like that's enough with this season. Get rid of, not get rid of, because obviously fans get accustomed to those players and they become their fans, right? So, but I think on the 1 year contracts, it's time to just unload. Like it's 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 hard to say, but like obviously fans like Jazz, but Estrada, Michael Conforto, but they have this is their last year of their contract, so they're gonna be walking away, and might as well just trade them so the young players can get the playing time. Because at this point, looking at our prospects, that's the best thing that can happen for this season at this point. So obviously, there's been some good parts this week, like a lot of great pitching performance, like Ray, Blake Snells, our Kyle Harrison had a bounce back week. He looked dominant. Our our rookie prospects that he's been dominating. He had 12 strikeouts in course field, and then he pitched against the Rockets against on Friday night, and he had 8 strikeouts. So I think, yeah. So overall, and I think that our starting pitchers had over 40 strikeouts in the last 3 days. Um,
Stop being down with the Giants, man. Yeah, you had 52 Ks in the 4 games against
yeah,
the
that's what
Rockets.
it
That's,
is.
yeah, you get your record. You set a franchise record for a 4 game series of strikeouts, and stop being down.
It's not what we are expecting. Birdsong, back to back quality starts against the Rockies. So something has gone on. I don't know if it's Melvin or Farhine, but I think they overthought this because they were playing kind of like, oh, we're gonna position ourselves to for our games 4 game series against the Dodgers, right? But they overlooked the Rockies and Coors Field. Honestly, they overthought. I was thinking they're thinking too much because Flexner should have gone Friday against Coors Field. First game is also because that means that if he would pitch on Friday against the Rockies. He would have been ready to pitch on Thursday against the Dodgers at the finale. So you needed wins, and they for some reason they saved Blake Snells and Webb for the Dodgers series, and I just think that it was a wrong strategy because you need wins, and I would have liked to see that uh, our our top pitchers come off the bat. They had a whole week off. Like it's kind of like they would have been rested. So that's my thing. My kind of like I'm critical on the decision on the pitching rotation with course because they overlooked the Rockies, and you can't do that. Yes, they're on pace to lose 100 games, but they're still professional team, professional players, and they take pride, and they just don't want to be a doormat to the other teams, right? So I think that's kind of like I'm critical over that, and I'll end it with this. Fitzpatrick tying a Giants record for um, 8 home runs in 9 games. Uh, at first, and early in the week, it's kind of like he hit uh, first player since Barry Bonds to hit 5 home runs in 6 games, but then he continued hitting home runs, and the league didn't know about him, but now they know about him, and they just cannot just throw anything down the middle because he right now he's hot, and he has the power to hit in any ballpark right now. So it's been impressive to see that um, those 8 home runs.
Yeah, really impressive when we were like talking about it all throughout the week because I was like so happy about Vlad Guerrero and you said, oh, Fitzpatrick
Yeah,
hit in
you
five
were bragging.
consecutive.
I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's nothing.
You said, oh, Fitzpatrick hit five consecutive homers, so shut your mouth, right?
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like Fitzpatrick. It's kind of like a lot of people are like, "Oh, they should be training for Bo," and I was like, "But this is the guy that we have in as just ready to go, right?" So like, you can't. Yeah, he's still a work in progress in the from a defensive, but like if Fitzpatrick at this season alone, he's having a better season than Bo, and he hasn't played all season. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
right. So, anyways, that is my take on the Giants update. We'll see what happens, but at this point, it's a mediocre team, and I, from the 1 year contracts, I think it's time to try to see what we can get. And for the Stars, is we'll see what happens because that's a big payroll to take on if you're not winning. Another thing is a lot of I'll end it. I lied. I'll land it with this. a lot of a lot of there's a lot of rumors, especially on the trade lines. Everybody's kind of saying like, oh, Blake Snell, he'll probably be moved, or maybe Ray will be moved right after he's out, and maybe it's impressive, right? So, but like the one name that no one's talking about, and there's some rumors saying like maybe the Giants will stick with Blake Snell's and trade Logan Webb. And right now, I don't know if it's true, but there's been from the Giants beat writers, Giants media, they say like the Orioles were they called to find out about Logan Webb. So, and I think like, whoa, that would be a big move if they trade him away. And so he's had up and down. Logan Webb has had an up and down year. Maybe his the innings are starting to catch up to him. He led the majors last year, and in his pitch this year, he's leading the majors again. So maybe his down year is just because of maybe the too many innings being pitched. I don't know, but maybe the Giants pull a blockbuster and say like, no, we're sticking with Blake Snell and we're trading other pitchers instead. So we'll see what happens. Right now, it's going to be an interesting 48 hours for the Giants.
And that doesn't really make sense to trade Logan Webb, who is arbitration eligible in 2025. So
Yeah.
unless you
So
get massive return from any team, I
yeah.
like
So
that's a head scratcher in my
yeah, it
opinion.
is. So, but I think well, that's what I heard that the Orioles are looking for a starting pitcher, like a star. So obviously the Giants come to mind. So we'll see what happens there. But I think that the Orioles are in position to trade for a star of that quality player because they have the number one prospect with Holiday.
Yeah,
Would the Orioles be willing to give away Holiday in return for starting pitchers to go all in for this season? I
yeah,
think it would be because the prospects are prospects, right? We don't know, but like, if I'm the O's and I'm like, I would do it. I would trade Holiday for a quality pitcher.
yeah. If I am the Giants, if I ask for a holiday and they said no, I'll hang up the phone, right? So
Yeah, so
for Logan Webb,
yeah, so I think so too. Also, another team with not to make this, but I heard also the Mets are after a starting pitcher. Obviously, they just lost one, but even before the injury, those are the Orioles and Mets are looking. Obviously, everybody's looking for starting pitching, but I think those are the two teams that are gonna be interested if the Giants can make a trade.
yeah. I'm just going back to what you were saying about the wild card race in the National League, right?
Hmm.
You said you're watching this unfold. You say like Atlanta, San Diego, and New York Mets are currently on that wild card spot,
Right.
but Arizona is only half a game. Cardinals is one game.
Yeah.
Pirates is two, and because of your giant sweep of the Rockies, they're only 3.5 games. Is that just like a false hope for you, Giants, going like 3.5 games right now?
But the thing is, that we've been 3 games even when they lost. They went last weekend. We just been at the 3.5 mark, right? We just can't improve. This is kind of like this is just a 500 team record. So I think by just the mediocre up and down, it's like they lost one of the games on against the Dodgers this week. I think it was the Wednesday. No, the Giants won the Wednesday game. I think it was a Tuesday night game. Um, we lost to them 5-2, and we had the chance to win. They left 8 runners in scoring position, and they cannot bring them in because everybody was trying to hit home runs. Everybody was trying to hit the home run, and the Dodgers pitchers they knew that. They were just kind of like, "We'll see." They were just kind of like, "Let's see how far you can hit it," and they were challenging them to hit it hard, and they fell for their trap. So this is and one of the I think it was in the fifth or sixth. They had a one out. They had a runner in first and third, and they cannot bring that runner home. And it was just like 2 outs, like Macho struck out, and for second out, and then the third, and that was just a pop up to center. And it's just like it's just very frustrating. So to me, it's like I'm done with this season. Time for fantasy football.
Don't worry,
We'll
we'll
see.
get there in a month.
Yeah, we'll see. Like at this point, it's like if I don't want to trade the players for a discount, uh, for around. Yeah, I don't want to trade. Uh, I don't want them to make any bad mistakes. So if they can get something good or equal for a prospect, I will like that. But sometimes the best trades is the ones that you don't make, and I'll be if they don't do anything, I'll be happy with that. But there's a lot of 1 year players and or even 1 year players with an option out that they need to start thinking about that. So that's my opinion. Uh, so if they don't make any trades, that's fine, and we'll see what happens. And they can just like, hey, let's just hope for the best, and like, we'll see what Alex Cobb, Ray, and Blake Snells can what kind of second half of season they can have. Maybe they make a push. There's a lot of baseball. Well, there's it's closing down. There's 2 more months. There's still plenty that you can do. Like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of ground, but they have a lot of ground to make, and
Yeah.
they just can't. Unfortunately, they just cannot keep losing to bad teams. So, anyways, that's for the Giants update.
Well, for your Blue Jays update, the trade floodgates have opened for the Jays. So first, the Jays said goodbye to right-hander Yimi Garcia for who was having a great season. So Yimi goes to the Mariners for outfielder Jonathan Class and catcher Jacob Sharp. And then a day after, the Jays finally gave up on promising but inconsistent young pitcher Nate Pearson. The Jays shipped Pearson to the Cubs for infielder Josh Rivera and outfielder Yohendrick Pinago. And this was the toughest one to date, as the Jays traded longtime catcher Danny Jansen to the
Yeah.
Red Sox. So yesterday for shortstop Edinson Polino, third baseman Carter Kofi, and right-hander Gilberto Batista. There will be more trades to come for the Jays before this Tuesday's deadline, but we do not expect to see the big names like Bo and Vlad Jr. go. So, like we said on our last week's episode, welcome to Saturday's Stellars.
Sellers, sellers. Well, congrats to Kevin Gossman, his complete game again. Is it that the third of the season for him or second?
I know it says third complete game of his career.
Oh, his career.
His
Okay,
career, yeah.
so he
It's
has had two
surprising.
this year.
Surprisingly, just
Yeah.
only three in his career. Hey.
So, but he looked impressive in yesterday's game with the complete game. So, kudos for him, right? So, what are you hoping to make for them for the Jays to make a trade for just to get off payroll or it's a building block for next season?
What I was hearing for the past week is that they don't want to sell players that's that's still under contract for next season, like the Bassett's, the Gossman, the Barrios, Bo, and
Right,
Vlad, because they still want to contend for next season.
right,
So maybe a Justin Turner trade, maybe IKF will be get traded, or Kikuchi. So those names they might get traded because they don't they're free agent after the season, right? So I saw a Twitter last day. They, they traded all these pieces and they're winning now, right? So
yeah, that's
they just
awesome.
swept the Rangers. So it'll be funny if they make the playoffs after trading everyone.
Yeah,
But I,
that's
I I
funny.
really doubt it. I really doubt that they can make the postseason. But yeah, it's time to move on to the next season, right, Armando?
Yeah, well, there's teams that trade for the future, and there's other teams that just trade because they're trying to get rid of payroll or players' contract, right? So there's teams like the Rays that they're smart, right? So they trade for prospects to rebuild, right? So they
Yeah,
can contend for. So there's a lot of teams that cannot do it, like the Dodgers, like they trade for players, but they pay attention on other teams' prospects and they get full in return. So they almost seems like they win on the prospects and they wins on the players that they trade for, right? So the Yankees, there's a reason why some teams' farm system is so great because they're able to make trade for the future, right? So hopefully, same thing like the Jays and Jays are in the same spot. So hopefully, um, they don't make a bad decision in the trades, right? So they're not trading Blatt for peanuts, right? So and then he
not.
hunts you for the next 10 years, right?
I know,
So
eh?
so
with with the hot streak that Vlad Jr. is on right now, it'll be tough for them to move. I think Toronto will
no.
riot. I think Toronto will riot if they trade Vlad.
Yeah, I don't know if you can trade an injured player. That's interesting. I was wondering the same thing because Eric Miller from the A's, he has injured pinky or broken pinky um, on his non-throwing arm. So that's kind of like, whoa, that makes it challenging now. Like because he was in the trade block, right, for the A's to trade their young closer. But I was wondering, he's like, can you trade Eric Miller still, like even though he's injured? So obviously that's why you take physicals and stuff like that. But it's in his non-throwing hand, so that's good. But I wonder what's gonna happen to Miller if they able to trade him. But he's in the injured list. I think Vlad hot streak came at the right time or wrong time. The way you choose to look at it. But the way that he's hot, he's going to cost too much for a team to to make a trade. I was kind of hoping the Mariners would trade for him because they needed a bat. So it didn't happen. They went in a different directions. But I'll be happy with the Blast stays in Toronto. He's good. I like him. But I think when a player like Vlad, you need prospects um, and major league roster players, right? So you just can't trade for just prospects, right? You need unique contenders. I think the Giants know what to do. I just don't know what fans don't know what to look for or what's going to look like in the next 48 hours, but I think they have a good idea. So we'll see what next week when I give my Giants update. But We'll see. So at this point, it's a waiting game, and that's where with the whole Giants meeting they were saying yesterday and today. They was like, we'll see what this trade deadline looks like. So, all right, well that's it for this episode of Saturday Sliders.
See you guys next week.